Welcome to the weekly open mic, folks. We do this because you asked us to. MSPs wanted to learn what was new with the platform, what we've been working on, what bugs we fixed, and you wanted to do some R&D or rob and duplicate. Just some reminders. I've seen a lot of MSPs go from 0 to 100 with automation. There's one thing in common. I can count how many of these MSPs that have been successful without asking a question. It's probably 7, 12, 24, 18. 0 MSPs have succeeded at automation without asking a question. So use your Discord, use your private channel, use the public channels. One of the things that I use internally when I'm trying to figure out is an MSP being successful is, are they communicating, right? So if you say nothing, you will lose. If you say a lot, you will win. Speaking of Discord, if you're engaging with us on Discord, we're monitoring hundreds of channels simultaneously. Make sure you respond to us in a thread or tag us so that we can see your response. I'm also supposed to say something about flow. Let me see if I still have my flow. I have to hide all my Kelvin images that I just used. And let me share my screen. Window flow. I am not going to do some professional slideshow presentation with you folks. I'm just going to share my PowerPoint right like it is. We've got flow coming up. We've started announcing speakers. This is not all the speakers that are going to be presenting, but you may see your name up there. Thank you so much. If you put in a speaking slot, if public speaking is something that interests you, Flow is a great way to get in front of hundreds of people that want to see you succeed at public speaking. They want to hear what you have to say. People are dying for automation knowledge. So this is some of our speakers. Here's another batch of our speakers on what they'll be speaking on, and yet another batch. Notice this is not a list of just vendors speaking. While we do have to have some vendors speak because they make the conference something that we can all go to, they help fund it. But really, the goal is to get MSPs talking to MSPs about automation. Now, there's young Kelvin there. Also, we have early bird. It ends at the 31st. Go ahead and go to mspflow.events to get your tickets during the early bird. I know how these conferences go. Most of the registrations are like the last 2 weeks before the conference begins. If you do it now, you can save $100. So consider doing it now. Registrations have been very good. All signs point to this being a larger, more successful version of last year's Flow. And I can't wait to see you folks there. What else? How about add time savings? So we have some new things that we're working on that allow us to see workflows that run a lot with no time savings. And I would say, if you were to look at the top, 1,000 workflows that are executed daily on the Reese platform, I think 75% of those don't have a time savings number put in. So please make sure you're reviewing your workflows. Time savings are how folks who aren't super technical measure the value of the product. And speaking of super technical and not, this is a very technical call. Not all of our calls will be very technical, but this one is. because it's a place for automation folks to get together to share automation ideas. If you're an MSP owner, an MSP, or maybe you're in the management of an MSP and you're not hands-on, it's a great way to get ideas, but don't assume we require you to learn all this. This is for the techs, the engineers, and the folks who are actively building or installing pre-built automations. And with that, let's party. Ashe, what's up?
Hey, thank you. All right. So before we jump in, a few things. I'm actually going to do a little bit of a switcheroo of some of the order that I gave the internal team. So George is going to come after me to discuss things, and that way, anything that I say that is forgotten about, he'll be able to tag on to. But just one thing that is kind of fun that Roost is doing as like an internal little April Fool's kind of, well, fun day activity is going to come up with what are some fun, silly, creative, interesting workflow examples that you could do. And so there's going to be some of the people internally doing that, and they're going to be presenting some of those on a future open mic. And so it'd actually be really cool if we had some customers participate as well. So I wanted to put that call out to you guys to see if there's anybody who wants to participate that can tag on to some of that. Other than that, I want to give everybody else the time that they need. So I'm just going to jump right over to George to do the community stuff, and then we will go into the rest of it.
Thanks, Ashe. Good afternoon, everyone. Couple of quick fire community announcements for folks live and in the future. Next week, first week of April, we will be launching our open mic calls for our communities in Europe and down under in Australia, New Zealand. So folks out there, you asked, we listened. We know that whilst this boisterous fun call is awesome for all us folks here in North America, for some people it's the middle of the night. And so we are rolling out some monthly calls for folks in European time zones and down under next week. So I will drop a link in the chat. It'll also be in the video description, so you can get those added to your calendar. And if you want to join a live call to hear all about the awesome updates, upcoming features, things that are happening in the Roost community, please join us. And if you're interested in showing some things live because you can't make these calls on a Friday, look into joining some of those as well. So thanks to everyone at Roost for helping pull those together. And we're looking forward to seeing some folks on those next week as well. Second thing I wanted to shout out was a little something about our app builder. So if anyone here or that is listening to this is unfamiliar with app builder, what is it? It's an extension of Roost that is allowing MSPs to quickly build web applications for interacting with your Roost data. So things from workflows, forms, data, and it's really driving additional efficiency, consistency, and giving you those visibility gains. So we are launching a little survey to get some feedback from folks, and so I will post that in the chat as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on how you're using it, what are some things we can do better, and again, that'll also be in this video description as well. So a few links coming your way in the chat for you guys to interact with, and that's it from me for this week. Thank you.
Thanks, George. All right, so now we will go over to Daniel with an A.
Hello, everybody. All right, we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to run through only a few of these items. Aaron, that's really freaky. What are you doing? It's the worst. We have a company of trolls, and yeah. Anyway, now I'm thrown off. Okay, so what's new today? We have a few new pieces of functionality in App Builder. One of the main focuses of our portals team who builds App Builder is to just make it easier to use for everybody. So I'll quickly jump in and show what we've been working on. So one of the things that we're doing is making sure that we have more clear, concise, easily usable, and understandable, different components within the App Builder. So one thing that you'll notice is we have some redesigned sidebars here, and we're going to be working on that a lot going forward. The other thing that we are looking to do is things like improving the ability to do spacing. So you have your HTML container here. If I want to add some space to either side, I can just add a couple of numbers to there, and it will shift it over. So functionality like that is stuff that we're focusing on for App Builder. 2 new integrations have been launched. We launched the shortcut integration and Traceless integration. We have all the documentation up and running on our docs site right now. So thank you to our docs team for that. And it includes also all the use cases, why we've done this, an overview of how to get them set up, and some information on the different actions that are available for both of those integrations. Yeah, so shortcut, if you haven't used it, this is beneficial for, it could be beneficial in a number of ways. It's a project management tool that we actually use internally as well. So it has like Kanban and Scrum style boards. It also might be useful for some of your clients. So this could help you with automation as a service and selling automations to your clients. Traceless, a few of the big use cases for Traceless are secure data transmission, prevention of exfiltration, secure password resetting, credential sharing automation. So this is more security related integration to add to our integration list. We have a bunch of transforms that have been worked on. I believe it's Dan Hayes. I don't know if Dan Hayes worked on all these, but I'm going to say he worked on all these. I see Gareth nodding, so thank you to him for this. One of the many focuses of the marketplace automation team is going to be to make us less reliant on Jinja and add more transforms to our crates and to our workflow builder for you. We had a whole bunch of bug fixes as well. It was quite a few items were released this week. But the big thing that I wanted to talk about this week and recruit people to test is one of the coming soon items, which is a PowerShell interpreter. So I just want to give a little bit of a background of this, of PowerShell and why we did it. If you were on the open mic probably in the last month or so, we've talked about this a lot. So at Roost, we have initially focused on Jinja as being the main templating language powering your automations. However, many MSPs are more familiar with PowerShell, resulting in a learning curve for builders joining Roost for the first time. So what we decided to do, and what was a fairly like, I guess, low lift item relative to some of the other changes that we have that are ongoing, is we've added functionality for you to use PowerShell within Roost. Almost anywhere that you can use Jinja, you can use PowerShell. There's a few constraints in there.
That looks like prod.
This is prod, yeah. Oh. So this is now in production. So you'll see here under tools, I have the option to select interpreters. So I can show that here. I'll show this at the end, but I've selected a PowerShell interpreter. It has deployed PowerShell to one of my Azure instances. And so it's running through your Azure. If the teams, go back to here. Okay. So you can see that, yeah, I'm running PowerShell directly in here. I can toggle that just by selecting Jinja or PowerShell. And when I render it, it renders this PowerShell using my Azure. What's going on here? This is great. Okay, so it just took a bit longer. And you can see here, it just works just like PowerShell. So if I go in here, I can go ctx.foo, and then I'll re-render this. So you can see that the first time I tried to run it, it took a bit longer because it has to spin up. This is running off Azure Functions, so it actually has to spin up that function, and then the subsequent times it will be a lot faster if you're running it often. So this is how it looks in the live editor, but I also wanted to show how this looks in, where'd it go? Here. So you can see here I have I have the workflow canvas. Within this no op action, I have 2 data aliases that I've set on the transition. One of them using PowerShell. So I can set that there. Just this is to toggle between Jinja and PowerShell. And then the other object is set as Jinja. So if I wanted to set as PowerShell, I could, but that wouldn't render correctly. So if I test this, see what happens. So that completed. If I go to view the results now, you can see that I have 2 objects. One of them was using PowerShell, one using Jinja, and they both have the exact same functionality here, the exact same format and results. Yeah, so we have, I'll quickly go back to so I'm at the live editor. It's quite easy to install and uninstall. Try to do this live. Sometimes this is also, I should note, is in beta. We just released this. And the whole point of me showing you all this type of stuff is I'm trying to recruit beta testers for PowerShell. So if I deploy this, naming, I've uninstalled and reinstalled it a whole bunch of times, which is causing some issues there. That's why I wanted to show this at the very end.
It's our local environment. I had to reauthorize, and we use the same test app, so you'll need to reauthorize. Sorry,
Reauthorize.
Didn't know you were showing this off today, Daniel. I would have appreciated the heads up.
Well,
So,
yeah, you can blame for that is Aaron.
Daniel with an A, who do they reach out to, and how do they reach out to the person to help beta test?
Great segue. I am going to drop this link into chat here. Get on our tester list for PowerShell. You can sign up there, and we'll add you to our list. Were you going to say something, Aaron?
Yeah, why don't you use a Roost form?
That's a good question. Because I am a bad employee. Is that what you want to hear? Is that what you want me to say, Aaron?
Here's some other prerequisites that Daniel with an A won't mention that I'll mention. You can't judge us. We're not releasing it. We're trying to get testers. So if you're doing this to judge us, you can judge us after production if you want at that point. Also, if you're generally angry as a person, don't beta test with us. We want happy people that want to collaborate with us.
So if you sign up on that list, a couple things too. Signing up for that list does not guarantee like immediate entry into the PowerShell beta testers. We're going to we just launched this yesterday. We have to do some internal testing. Then we're going to allow people in group by group, and we're still coming out with documentation as well as a few other internal readiness pieces. So there might be what we're hoping for is we'll get the list down and the first group of PowerShell testers, and then we'll invite you to a meeting where we will walk through some of the main features of PowerShell that we have, and go from there. So with that, I think that's all I have for today. But yeah, please sign up and help us get feedback on PowerShell.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, now we will jump over to JP.
Hello, going to do the marketplace update. We've got a few crates we released this week. I'm going to go over a few of those here in a minute. We did a number of bug fixes, and we've got still on the docket the AV EDR gaps crate that we're working on. It's done, just needs testing and refinement. So I'll go over real quick some of the crates we released and look forward to feedback on them. The first one we're going to look at is so finding and reporting on inactive computers in your RMM tool. So this is something that is a pretty common thing that MSVs need. We list the computers through the RMM tool. We use a transform to filter them based on the last check-in times. And then we dump that data into PSA ticket. And this is kind of the example of the output. The amount of time is configurable in the trigger, so you should be able to change that. Next one I wanted to look at was the this is kind of a neat one. Based on the country that a user has configured an Active Directory, we do comparisons based on the login auditing from Microsoft Graph. We compare those two things and we create tickets if there are discrepancies between the country it reported the user logged in from and the one that is configured in Active Directory. This is just an example of output of that. For example, this user was configured to as living in the US and they logged in from UK. And the last one I'm going to go over is one that looks at inactive. Mike is looking at this. Inactive user accounts in your M365 environment. This one has quite a few options. You can basically adjust the inactivity period. It by default attempts to filter out all the admin accounts, and it allows you to do some additional exclusions as well. And by default, it reports only, and there's an option to auto remediate and inactivate all the accounts that it has found. So just a quick look at the output in the our test environment here. We had a number of dummy accounts that just hadn't logged in a long time, and this is a neat little thing. It also notes accounts that won't be automatically disabled because they're controlled by a local AD. So those were the 3 crates that we released. And we also did a refactor of our crate that deals with resetting passwords for locked out accounts. We just looked at it and it was ancient, I think, just based on the way it was designed and stuff. So we just rewrote it and updated some things in it. So should look for those updates as well if you use that. That's all from our team this week.
Thank you so much, JP. That was awesome to see. Let's move over now to Brandon for our education update.
Hey, everyone. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to be able to do this update. I'm done. Thanks, Aaron.
What do you mean?
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know what anything means right now, frankly. I'm going to try to do a game thing of the week. Games are cool. You should play them. Nintendo Direct happened. All right, I need to move on and look at this screen for a second. All right, shout outs to Daniel, Jody, Charles, Graham, Greg, Jason, Billy, and Brandon for passing the Foundation certification. Good name, Brandon. You will get your prestigious certified Discord or a Rooster badge in Discord. I'm thoroughly distracted right now. And you'll get access to our super secret or not so super secret Discord channel where you can work with other folks who have been certified. You can share ideas and you can build some cool stuff together. Shout outs to Kevin, Jeff, David, and Eldar for passing the Clean Automation certification. We are excited when we're seeing people taking the Clean Automation certification. I've said this every week. I'll say it again. If you haven't already taken that certification, check out that content. We find that a lot of people, especially newer folks that take Clean Automation either after or in some cases before Foundations, they find it to be extremely valuable. We've heard veteran customers say that it is something they wish they knew when they started. So otherwise, if you are not already aware of this, new training schedule is live on calendly.com/clucku, where we are offering automation basics, Roost foundations weekly, and clean automation monthly, and that will be with the legendary Eddie Chow. So check that out if you like live trainings. Otherwise, we have all of this self-serve as well. I'm going to scroll down here, but I'm just going to repeat as well from last week. We do also have an LMS coming very, very soon. We will let all of you know when that is live, but we are working on that as well. So we will be migrating from where you can find things on roost.help to the new site when we are ready to go live. So look forward to that information. We'll have more coming soon. Otherwise, from the documentation standpoint, we have a bunch of new docs. We have the document user details crate documented, the change a user's password crate, ConnectWise PSA agreement mapping crate, the identify users in bypass mode crate. All of those have been documented. We're continuing to work hard on getting that worked out as well, in addition to a lot of the new features that Daniel and team are working on and JP's working on as well. We also have updates for a number of other pages. For integrations, we have Shortcut, Stripe, and Traceless, as Daniel mentioned, as well as user management documentation updated to reflect the current UI, and the new OpenMic landing page is available as well. And we have some new transform actions documented as well. The map, all, any, select attribute, and is JSON. If you guys are not familiar with the transforms in the platform, these are ways that you can work with the data in your automation without necessarily needing to manage Jinja in the same way. So we're trying to flesh all of that out as well. A lot more to come, a lot in the works. We're excited, and we'll bring you more in the coming weeks. Back to you, Ashe.
Thank you. All right. So now we are going to jump into some of our demos. As George said at the beginning, we are branching out and we're going to be having some regional calls. And so one of the people that are going to be kicking us off on that call, who has been so gracious as to jump on these ones and showcase everything that he's been doing, is Gareth. So I want to say thank you for all the times that it's been 9 p.m. and you've jumped on, and let's see what you've been working on.
Thanks, Ashley. So what I'm going to show you today is nice and simple, but it's kind of, I've seen on the Discord chat some people, for instance, trying to run a workflow. You're running it as one of your child companies, and then you're trying to use a sub workflow or anything like that to try and then run that part as your actual main company. Obviously, it doesn't work that way. So I'm going to give an example of kind of how I've used it on this nice simple workflow, and then from there you can kind of take that knowledge and kind of do what you want with any of your own workflows. So kind of give you an overall idea. If you haven't got this crate, I do recommend getting it, is the invite users to Roost. Now, this is a godsend for me because obviously I've built my own client portal, and obviously we get all clients kind of on it. So in my case, we create a dynamic group on their 365 tenancy, and then from there, we obviously invite them into Roost. Now, the issue is here, we then kind of get into a Teams meeting with approvers, show them how to use it, all the fancy stuff, but they never pass that information on to anybody else in that company who also have access to use this portal. So what I did is I created a very, very simple workflow that essentially all it does, it goes through, it lists all the groups, and then it filters the groups to just essentially get the Your Hub group, which is what we've kind of called it, and then from there it will get the attribute ID, which will then simply, it'll go get all the emails that's inside there, and it'll create a nice little list to say what emails are in there. Now, once that's kind of been done, I want this to send an email, a specific email to them with an introduction of Your Hub and how to use it and stuff like that, where I can't put on here send as impersonated user, run it as your IT or anything like that, because it just won't allow it, because essentially it's trying to obviously run this as the child company. So what you can do, you can use completion handlers. So I've got one here. It's crazy simple. All it does is when this simply runs, it will then come here and run this. And this, if it lets me, there you go. it will send it as our support. So it will send it as our support directly to the client. So it keeps it nice looking professional. And just kind of quickly show you what the email looks like. I'm not going to click the link because there's a horrible picture of me on front of that video. I have no idea why they chose that image. But, it'll simply send this out to all users, so I'm not having to kind of sit there telling our techs, oh, yeah, these guys can do this themselves. Give them a call, quickly show them how to do it. Because essentially we allow everybody to have access to this. We've got all approval stuff built in. Now we can simply, as soon as they've gone from being added to Roost, we then got handlers, which will simply just go through. It will email the whole entire company, and then it will send it from our support app. So it just keeps so people know it's ours, looks good. But yeah, it's very simple, but it's effective. And as you can imagine, you can use this in bigger workflows and stuff like that. This is just a general example of how you can use it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a nice, quick, easy one, really.
I just said it in chat. I love seeing workflow listeners, completion handlers, like event, like triggered modular stuff like this. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's simple stuff, but you put it all together, one after another, it soon makes a big difference for you. We can automate massive things. We can do amazing things with Roost, but as well as that, it can do the little annoying jobs as well. So.
Thank you so much. And thank you, like I said, again, look forward to seeing, why don't you tell us a little bit before I let you go, what is the thing that we were talking about that you wrote a blog about that we're going to be talking about next week?
The one George wants me to speak about.
Yeah.
I still haven't fully booked a meeting with George yet, so kind of not gone over it fully with him. So yeah, I kind of want to wait till I speak to George, really, because I'm not 100% sure myself.
It'll be a surprise for everybody when they get to see it. But he's done some cool stuff, and he's going to be kicking us off on the UK open mic, or on the European open mic, I should say, for everyone to join in on. Just checking, I didn't miss any questions. Nope. All right, so now we are going to jump over to Trey, who has also been one of the leading voices on how to use simple modular approaches to handling complex things. And I think today you were actually going to talk about something that you did incorporating the crate, right?
Not really, but
oh, okay.
Ish.
Something else.
So for some background, I'm sure a lot of people understand the pain that is group management and getting your customers, or even for our company, our own internal team, to know what the hell groups people need. Our team's like 500 people strong, and I don't know how many groups we have at this point, but it's a lot. So we sometimes don't even know what we need. And good luck if our massive number of customers all know exactly what they need. So we needed to solve, and the solution in the new hire onboarding crate was have template users or copy a user. And that was fine for us back when we were a 15-person MSP and less than 100 customers, but that's not my team anymore. We needed something a little more powerful. So the idea came about, well, can we make a templating engine? And so, yeah. So what this does is it's sterilized for the point of this call because I can't leak everything, but you can pick out a template, you can pick out more than one template, and it runs an option gen. That option gen then pre-fills the groups you need. It also does other stuff for us, so licenses, applications, much more than that, but for this call, I'm focusing on groups because it's something I'm okay to share, and my CISO won't get mad at me. The power behind all of this is you can do more than one, and you can scale it. So I've got global templates, which happen up at our parent company, and then local templates for each of our child MSPs. So the MSP I came from, KME Systems, they've got a template for a KME Tech, and it's filled out all the different groups that we need for all of these templates. So all the Cognition 360 groups for Power BI, got our Roost SME in there, our KME Office stuff. It all got populated by this form with a bunch of option gens. Behind the scenes, look at the form. It's really, really simple. It's the same 5 fields. You're picking out with some either multi-selects or drop downs based on our option gen to list out some templates. And then we're dynamically pulling the groups with an option gen using the default selected to then pre-populate each field, and the template IDs and group types to then hand it templates. Behind the scenes, the actual workflow to generate these templates is not complex, but it's not simple either. What we're doing is we grab the template data, clean it up a little bit, and then determine if there's more than one template, just a single template, or no template at all, because I still want this to run as a normal option gen and output lists if a no template was provided. If there's a template, we clean it up, we grab the org variable where the templates are stored, filter them down to only get what we need, and then hand that over and say, hey, are we grabbing a security distro or all groups? Filter it one more time based on the list so we can set the defaults and we're done. A lot of individual steps in there, but it's actually, when you think about it, really, really simple. We're just grabbing an org var, getting the JSON from that org var where the group IDs are stored, and then filtering those, adding a default value, appending that to the wider list of groups, and that's your output. Beyond that, we've got a job template configuration form to let not only our team, but then as we trickle this down to our customers, let people modify, add, delete, etc. the templates. So that same workflow is running, and it's going to pull in the same data, but then you can modify it as you need to and save stuff. And once you save it, it'll go in. It'll go in, update the option gen in a couple seconds, minutes, depending on if the demo gods are happy with me today. These should populate with the new changes. So it's a simple problem when you think about it, just group membership, licensing, etc. But creating those templates makes the overall user experience easier, because I don't have to teach an accounting person add these 19 groups if you've got an accounting new hire. It's just one. Or do you need this license to get into Power BI? No, you don't. You just need to apply the template and it'll do everything for you. And we don't have template users bogging down our Active Directory, or we're cloning someone that has way too many permissions. It's just a template. I flew through that, but that's the core of it. It's very, very simple, but a powerful concept, because when you apply this to other things like applications, that's a handy one. Equipment requests, we've got it in there for that too. So certain roles get better computers. So like our receptionists get a base Lenovo, but if you're a roof dev, you get a nicer laptop with more RAM and all that stuff. So it's super simple, super easy, something where I don't have to go maintain it and my subject matter experts won't need to go maintain it. It's just there for the point of contact with either the department internally, the MSP themselves internally, or the customer can even get access to this and self-manage their own templates. And then the onus is just on whoever that owner is, and templates are there. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Trey? If not,
do I have a microphone?
You do have a microphone.
Hey, look at that. Trey, I got a question.
What's up, man?
What happens if, and I may have missed this, but what happens if somebody either has a role change, or like in the course, in the case of your company, like has an org change, does this kind of account for re-onboarding as well, or
Yeah,
is that
there's. I don't have it on here because I didn't get permission to show it. But we do have a reapply templates form, and what that one will do is you can pick out the templates you want, and there's options in there to append or overwrite, and then you can either append the groups into what they already got and all the other permissions that come with it, or just blanket overwrite them, remove everything that isn't in the templates and add them to the new stuff, which is super handy because for our org, we've got people getting ripped out of their MSP and up to the parent company all the time. So sometimes we have to kind of just pull the plug and force them to say goodbye to some of the old groups and move to the new ones.
one additional question, and this is kind of a weird one, but like, do you have any plans to set up like a vacation mode type thing on this? So like if somebody else needs to borrow someone's roles for a week while they're, in Spain, they can, you can borrow and then cash and return.
It's been brought up and I've thought about it. For that, I've been experimenting more with the concept of let's just grab what they have, append, and then take it back versus relying on the templates themselves. There's no reason why you couldn't. I could totally see this doing that. It just hasn't been our priority. To be honest, we needed to solve this first.
No worries. It was just a question throwing it out there because it's a fun edge case. Like,
yeah, it's one of those edge cases where I've seen it coming because we've got people on PTO all the time, and I don't get PTO ever. And I'd love for who's one of my employees on the call? Michelle is. I'd love for Michelle to take over for me for a couple days. I don't think she'd like that very much.
While you're at Flow, she's gonna.
Yeah, well, she's probably going to be there anyway. So that won't work.
Hey, Trey, an additional question to that.
Yeah.
So with this whole setup and this flow here, do you have the ability to establish like a temp user setup to where you're allowing and applying permissions for an allotted period of time and then automatically revoking so you don't go in and, oh, I forgot to revoke that after the fact?
I wish our org was mature enough to do that. Unfortunately, we're not. It's something my CISO and I have been thinking about a lot because we want to do stuff like that. We basically want to do PIM with Roost, right? We got to get a lot of other stuff figured out before we can get there, but it's one of those things where it's come up where we're just like, hey, that would be awesome if we could do that. But to be honest with everybody on the call right now, we need to figure out how to hire our employees first, and then we're going to play with stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Great question.
Thank you, Trey. All right. Now we are going to jump over to Justin. Justin, are you on?
I am here.
How's it going?
It's going good. Let me just share my screen here. So a little bit of context around this workflow. We every month within all of our clients that are enrolled within this service, we do Microsoft 365 reporting. And from what I've been told, it takes about 3 days for someone to manually do this effort. And so what my goal was basically to just make it automated, where no one should be doing this effort because it's just reporting. We pipe it all into BrightGauge and a SQL server. But we have three main problems with the current workflow. One of them being it's a manual process. The other one being that our SharePoint stuff failed. And the last one being that we're using some PowerShell modules that will be retired next month and no longer in use. So what this basically does is replicates that PowerShell script that we have. We actually don't use the Azure integration that Roost provides. We want it to be very granular in what Roost can and cannot do. So we create the app registrations ourselves with the specific permissions required for this process. And as we make more and more automations, we will add more and more permissions to that app registration. So the first step that we usually do for this is to get the access token using the app registration details that I stored within the org variables. The resources that are assigned to this task, they have a Roost form that enrolls them. It creates the organization. I didn't bring that up. I forgot about that actually until this moment in time. But so I kind of separated it into 6 modules. The Intune one hasn't been finished yet. I just actually got assigned that today. But the 5 main ones of tenant, roles, users, SharePoint, and Exchange are all set up. Within tenant, it's just sort of a SKU, a subscribed SKU, and the accounts that are currently being used by each of these SKUs within the organization. So if I have inside of this Jinja code block, I have all of the tenants set up, and it gets like the number of where is it? I think it's this.
Justin, could you unmute yourself? I think that there was a global mute to adjust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No
Thanks.
problem. So in this code block, there's a locked out. You get the suspended, the locked out, the warning licenses used, and the total license count, as well as the friendly names. I know Roost has, I think it's a template. I think is what they call it. Yeah, template that gets the SKUs for your user onboarding. So I kind of stole that, but get it directly from Microsoft, and then that creates the tenant level. The roles are basically just each user with a directory role and what that role is that this user is subscribed to, and then the users is more like every user that we currently have within our tenant. I've tried to make these be as sectioned off as possible. I know there was the clean coding training that Roost offers, which taught me a good amount about how to make these as modular as possible. And I'm a big proponent on the with items. I hate having to kind of keep track of a for loop kind of scenario where you go back and forth in a circle. I don't really like doing that. I'd rather get collected results and then do all of the required Jinja to make it work. And my biggest win was with the Exchange module, where I had to figure out about the invoke command. I didn't know how the invoke command worked at all. I had to, the SIP documentation actually had a lot of help with that, with the commandlet inputs and the commandlet names. That helped me out a ton when it came to figuring out how to actually structure the data within the body and how that would be returned within the results itself. And you just keep going within each of these within sub workflows that I created, and they all just return and get stacked back up into the main workflow, which will get passed to SQL once that integration's set up. I haven't fully gotten that working yet, but I do plan on using the SQL integration that Roost does provide. That seems to be pretty good. I haven't gotten there yet though. And that's just the basic premise of it. It's took me probably about a week or 2 to fully figure out and get it set up, but I'm happy with the result, and I'm looking for any improvements. I know the Azure integration that Roost offers does have a lot of good stuff. I have experience with it, but we're just not using it. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about it, but that was just the basic rundown of what I've set up.
Thank you, Justin. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to discuss here on this point before we move on? If not, David, do you think that we've got enough time?
Sure. Yeah, I think I can do it.
All right, let's jump over to that then.
So I had gotten asked, I saw in the Bird Brains chat one day, people were asking about sanitizing like Jinja, that basically you can inject Jinja into a form and it'll return the results, you know, if you're not careful. So this kind of all started with we wanted to create a unified communications form that we could fill out that would send, you know, an SMS message or an email message to, you know, to a client, so that we all had it coming from one place rather than, you know, from a bunch of different places. And I wanted to add some handling in there so that it would send a success or fail, whether that message went through or not. And I started to quickly kind of realize like that I needed to build in some redaction messaging, so that if we were sending a password, for example, you know, I could essentially check this box, and then, you know, anything that's in this message will not get communicated over email. We have, you know, restrictions about that. So once I had completed that, one of our engineers came back and said, hey, you know, I can just submit like ctx dot username or ctx dot organization into this, you know, into this field, and it'll send me an SMS with that information. And we verified that, and that was true. And so we had to kind of go set about fixing that, right? And that kind of took a while. So I created this. I forgot to add that. So I created this workflow, or some things in it that would move out of my way. There we go. So first we start by like sanitizing the inputs. And as I had said in the Bird Brains chat that we were turning everything into a string first, but we're actually not. We're just, you know, evaluating everything right here and then sending it into a template. And then here's our template that we use. So we're redacting for sensitive words. We've got some things in here, you know, to make sure that if it's got password or API key or anything else like that, that it's going to return this invalid content detected, you know, message redacted, warning messages. And that's all built into the templates here. The bigger issue of redacting the Jinja was, the problem was that it was evaluating the Jinja first and then sending the results. And so everything that we tried, like regex, you know, evaluation and, you know, checking things as strings and stuff, it just didn't work. And it continued to send the stuff through. We were like having issues with the lists and all sorts of things. But then eventually, after battling with ChatGPT for long enough, I came up with, let's see if I can find it now. Because of course, my first demo, I lost my, here. What did we do? We copied we were adding, how did we do it here? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. We moved type checking to earlier in the flow so that we could, well, basically what we did was we looked for any place where in the string we've got curly bracket, or curly bracket %, and then where that is, we just redacted that immediately. So anytime that shows up, anything that's in between that, we just redacted, and we're checking for that like at the front end of it here in the template. I want to show like a couple examples of what it actually looked like. So we also ran into issues where it was sending the password through, and it would redact it, and we would get this as the result. But you can see up here in the email header, it was still showing that. So I had to fix that with, you know, different handling of the email subject here, basically. So we're setting it to like email subject has sensitive, and then mapping that back into the redacted message, and then sending that through. So really, what it really comes down to is checking for the curly brackets first, and really that was the only thing that worked, was like finding the presence of the Jinja, initiators, and then turning that into a redaction message and sending that out. So that was really quick and dirty, but trying to make it in time. So hopefully that came out okay. I'll go back and listen to it later.
That was really awesome. Does anybody have any questions, comments, discussion points? You're getting a lot of kudos. A lot of celebrations. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Oh, God.
Thank you, everybody, for your demos. I know it can be stressful. We had like over 180 people on the call today. So I want to thank everybody that demoed in front of them. It takes time out of your day to do it and prepare, and it can be stressful. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for the open mic. Also, last I checked, we had 25 people sign up for PowerShell beta. So thank you, folks, for helping with the PowerShell beta and providing us feedback.
We're up to 30, and turn your face off.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, everyone.
Meow.